thank you, Nigel, for that introduction, and welcome all of you to the November meeting of the Lehigh Valley American Chemical Society section. Most of you know that if it's November, it's Lehigh, and I'm your host for this virtual online meeting. I'm Ned Heindel, Emeritus Professor at Lehigh. Before we get started, I want to make sure you download the quiz, for which there are substantial prizes, as Nigel indicated. The first prize, an antique ceramic plate for the ACS Centennial, and the second prize is, you'll love them, they're face masks with the periodic table on them. You can show all your colleagues that you're really a chemist. How do you find the quiz? There's two ways to find it. You can Google LVACS meetings, and when that comes up, click on the word quiz halfway down the page. Or you can go directly to lvacs.org/meetings-and-events. Either way, you'll bring up the quiz. Please do bring up the quiz now. If you're watching this on the afternoon of Thursday, the 19th of November, you're probably watching us live and interactively. You'll have a chance to ask questions at the end. If you're watching us at any other time, you're probably watching a retaping of it. But the quiz answers can be delivered to Nigel anytime before the close of work on December 1, in which case he will grade them, and those who have been the first shall get the top prize, and the rest of you will get a prize for participation. So that's what you need to know before we start. And now let's get going. Again, to remind you, do have the quiz in hand. It's going to be a lot easier looking at those quiz questions because the answers will pop up in the presentations from each individual college. If you print the quiz later, they'll either have to go back and watch again or trust your memory. Again, two ways to find it. Google LVACS meetings and click on quiz, or go to the link indicated there. This is about chemistry education in the Lehigh Valley. And as I indicated, 9 colleges and universities are participating in this. We have 15 colleges and universities in the valley now. We have had as many as 18 in the past. Some have moved on. An estimate of the number of people who have taught chemistry on regular faculty positions is approximately 540 faculty members. And they bring a diverse array of degrees to the job. Many of the early ones were MDs, then PhDs, JDs, PharmDs, clergy of all types, doctorate of arts, master's degrees, and one of you institutions actually employed, relatively briefly, an undertaker to teach organic chemistry. He did not know the Diels-Alder reaction, but he did know everything that there was to know about formaldehyde. Now, you were asked to sign up for the social hour for this event. None of you did, which means that I get to consume all the social hour fixings. Maybe next time you'll take that notice properly and sign up. Tonight we are pouring from the free bar, Josh Sellers Chardonnay, and we also have our selection of fine cheeses and crackers. So Steve and I get to share the happy hour food, and the rest of you sign up next time. So I mentioned the diversity of the degrees that our faculty have held. These are the presenters who will tell you about the history of chemistry from their institutions. They are listed in alphabetical order. Each of them has about 5 minutes. So if you're dying to hear Moravian and nobody else, you could calculate when to turn back on and pick up Moravian or Muhlenberg. But why don't you just stay with all of us? Because everybody has something interesting to say. Again, I remind you, you can download the quiz at LVACS meetings or at the link indicated there. All right, let's get to it.
Hi, I hope you're well. I'm Pam Arts from the Department of Chemistry and Biochemistry at Albright College. Thanks to Ned Heindel and LVACS for making this collective history project. From the song for Albright College, in the shadow of Mount Penn, where the Talpahawken meets the Schuylkill, Albright College is the oldest institution of higher learning in Berks County. This photo is from around 1949, and it shows the 1929 wing of Science Hall. The college dates its beginning to the founding of Union Seminary in 1856. Albright College was formed by a series of mergers with other institutions of higher learning. Albright moved from Myerstown to its current location in Reading, Pennsylvania in 1929 when it merged with Schuylkill Seminary. Jacob Albright is the namesake of the college. I don't have an exact date for this photo of Albright science students, but it certainly is early in the college's history. Note the female scientists in the front row. The Department of Chemistry is mentioned in this catalog from 1898 to 1899, which is around the time that it must have started at the college. In this early aerial view of the college, the 1929 wing of Science Hall appears prior to any additions. I'm currently in my office in the top floor of this 1929 portion of the renovated Science Center. This is a photo of the Alchemist Club sitting on the front steps in 1943. The yearbook text that accompanied this photo mentions the war and collaboration with the Reading Chemist Club, which no longer exists. The ACS Student Affiliates Group at Albright was formed in 1938 based on this certificate from the ACS. This is a photo of an early chemistry lab from the 20s prior to the chemistry department being located in Science Hall. A fume hood cabinet, shown here, apparently is still located in the master's building on campus. Here are some pictures in the lab from 1949 to 1953. Apparently, safe lab practices weren't quite the same as they are today. I can't endorse this glassware setup. Seems like some photographic staging was done. The Albright College Department of Chemistry gained ACS certification in 1968, joining 386 colleges and universities with that designation at that time. Upgrades, including a building addition in 1965 and a reduction in teaching contact hours with the addition of departmental faculty, led to this approval after some failed attempts. This photo shows a lab equipment room in the 1965 portion of the Science Center, Science Hall. This photo is from the late 70s or early 80s. Albright College added a biochemistry major starting in 1972. Our current president, Jackie Fetro, graduated with that major in 1983. The department changed its name to the Department of Chemistry and Biochemistry in 2001 to highlight both majors. The 7-member department currently offers majors in chemistry, biochemistry, environmental chemistry, and chemistry education. An addition and renovation to the Science Center was completed in 2011. An L-shaped addition that captured the 1965 addition upgraded the Science Center to 41,635 square feet with more room for dedicated research space. Since that time, Albright College has hosted MALACT, ISCC, LVACS, and the Dreyfus Lectureship. Nobel laureate Eric Cornell was one of the featured speakers to help celebrate the opening year of the Science Center. You might see some familiar faces in this photo. Albright students gain experience with instrumentation starting in freshman year. This particular student earned a Goldwater scholarship, and then after that, an NSF graduate fellowship. Current students gain experience through the curriculum and through research supported by the college during the January term and the summer. Here are some students who have been presenting their research. Very happy faces. Since 2012, the department has hosted a seminar series with about one speaker per month in the fall and spring semesters. Sherry Young was one of our alumni speakers in 2013. We have an endowed fund for a distinguished lecturer each year named after the 1944 alum, Donald Reinhold. To leave you with some fun from the student members of the ACS, here are some examples of activities they've done. They have been meeting virtually, but we are all looking forward to being together again for some fun chemistry-related activities. Thanks so much for joining me for this brief history of Albright College Department of Chemistry and Biochemistry.
Welcome to Chemistry at Cedar Crest College. To begin with, I need to say thank yous to Dr. Kelly Coughlin, a Cedar Crest alum who actually collects Cedar Crest yearbooks and was able to pull pictures through several decades to help show us the evolution of chemistry at Cedar Crest. We can't talk about Cedar Crest without first mentioning that our humble beginnings, we started as the Allentown Female College in 1867. The location of the campus is not the same as it currently is, and classes were originally held in the basement of the building where Allentown Female College first started. From our humble beginnings in 1867 to 1893, the college changed its name to Allentown College for Women, and then again in 1914 we got our current name of Cedar Crest College. The first chemistry classes were offered in 1912, and we see that many of those courses are still offered today at Cedar Crest College. Here we see some 1926 chemistry graduates, Jeanette Hunter from Allentown, PA, and Cecilia Catherine Ryan. Cecilia Catherine Ryan actually ends up becoming one of the first faculty members in the chemistry department at Cedar Crest College, and she stays with the college for over 30 years teaching more students. Here are some pictures from our 1929 showing Esther Engel and Cecilia Catherine Ryan as faculty professors. It's kind of interesting to see that they were teaching chemistry with only having BS degrees, not something we would commonly see now. Here we see the 1929 Science Club, 22 members strong and 3 faculty members serving as advisors. We again see Miss Ryan serving well at the Cedar Crest College. Here we see pictures of 2 more chemistry graduates from 1936, both from Allentown, PA. And we see the tradition continue that we still have today, that our students are always actively involved in clubs and organizations across our campuses. The Science Seminar was an honorary scientific organization that focused on writing papers dealing with key concepts that we still see important today, such as food adulteration and many medical ailments. 1945, Chemistry Club. We see new faculty members, and we still see Miss Celia C. Ryan acting as an advisor to the club. In 1957, we see that Miss Ryan is still teaching, which has her teaching at Cedar Crest College more than 30 years. Here in 1965, we see a picture of our chemistry labs. They were originally housed in the basement of Blaney, which is now our administrative building. And on the right, we see a picture of a student working, and she's diligently wearing her Dink donut as a first-year student. The same year the department was established, we got our new Science Center, which is where we are still housed today. Our special guest speaker was Dr. George Mueller from NASA. Here we can see the dedication plaque, the first year labs, and the main entrance to the building, which still is the main entrance even today. Here's a picture of the Science Center freshly being built, and we will see that a lot has changed over the years. Here we see the yearbook photo of John Griswold, the organic professor from 1976. He served over 30 years as professor at the department. 1994 yearbook photos of faculty. Here we see Dr. Pamela Kistler, who has served in the Lehigh Valley in several roles and is as an advisor of the chemistry club at Cedar Crest. In 1997, an addition was added to the science building. It was known as the Miller Building. It originally housed the nursing department, but they've since moved on to their own building, and it's been taken over, involving physics, forensic science, and the nutrition department. The annual science picnic between biology, chemistry, physics, and math still goes strong today, and here we see alums like Kelly Coughlin involved in the activities, as well as several faculty. The 2003 Chemistry Club with Dr. Pamela Kistler serving as advisor, and we see Carol Stein and Kelly Coughlin, who have also served in Lehigh Valley ACS as officers. In 2001, we saw another addition to our science building, known as the Oberkotter Health and Wellness Wing. Here we find our forensic science, and our large lecture hall has been added to the building. You can clearly see that the original science pool building has changed dramatically over the years, from one simple little building to having a full plethora of trees and other buildings connected to it. Yet some things stay the same. We still have our courtyard in the middle of the building, and it's still a very common spot to find students enjoying their lunch on a nice sunny day. More recently, we've had renovations in the science building, and you can see the then and now of our first year chemistry labs. Our clubs are still going strong, and they still continue to do fun outreach events, and we always have our tradition of making liquid nitrogen ice cream. Cedar Crest College is very proud of being an all-women's college, and it shows. Over 50% of our faculty are female. Here we see Dr. Steritz, Dr. Welch, and myself. We are very proud to have served as officers in the Lehigh Valley ACS, and we are very proud of our students. We're currently 16th in the nation for putting women into PhD programs in chemistry and biochemistry, and our recent grads have performed very well around the area and have gone on to graduate schools across the United States.
On behalf of the Department of Chemistry and Physics, I'm delighted to share the brief history of chemistry at DeSales University with you. When the Catholic Diocese of Allentown was established in 1961, the newly appointed bishop noted the lack of a Catholic college in the valley and asked the Oblates of St. Francis de Sales to establish a Catholic men's college. By 1962, plans were made to begin construction in Center Valley, PA, and the first class was welcomed in the fall of 1965. Father Dooling, the first college president, had a PhD in physics and had previously taught chemistry at Catholic University in Washington, likely resulting in chemistry being one of the 9 majors offered to the first entering class. 7 of the first 106 graduates in 1969 earned a degree in chemistry. One of these graduates, Paul Menckeljohn, went on to a successful career as an intellectual property lawyer and received an honorary doctorate from DeSales University in 2019. St. Francis de Sales was a believer in the equal dignity of men and women. In this spirit, just 5 years after its inaugural class, Allentown College became a co-educational institution. Initially, there was one academic building, which is now known as Dooling Hall. During the next several decades, there was a major focus on the development of healthcare-related programs, including undergraduate and graduate programs in nursing, physician assistant studies, sports and exercise physiology, and physical therapy. This greatly expanded the role of chemistry as a support department. Finally, in 2001, chemistry had outgrown its Dooling Hall facilities and moved onto the second floor of the Priscilla Payne Hurd Science Center, making it one of 2 Elvaic institutions with a science building receiving philanthropic support from the late Priscilla Payne Hurd. This expansion of academic spaces coincided with the transition from being called Allentown College to DeSales University. Additionally, in 2008, a degree in biochemistry and molecular biology was added, leading to further growth in the department. Yearbook photos suggest that the early years of the chemistry major were filled with strong relationships between faculty and students, and even the existence of a chemistry fraternity. This spirit continues today with a wide range of activities for our students, including an ACS affiliate club and the chemistry demonstrations program. 3 of the most influential faculty in the chemistry program were Father Dennis Murphy, who joined the faculty in 1966 until his untimely death in 1979. Warmly referred to as Murph by his students, Father Murphy was known for his kindness, gentleness, and patience. Dr. Harry Warren also joined the faculty in 1966 as one of the first lay people. According to his students, Harry Warren was a gentleman and a scholar who made you feel like you were someone. Harry's legacy lives on with the Harry Warren Endowment for Natural Science Equipment. Roger Berg, one of the longest current tenured professors, is a proud graduate of Muhlenberg College and Lehigh University. Dr. Berg joined the chemistry faculty in 1977 and has been an icon on campus ever since. Known for his compassion for students and his Bergisms, Roger Berg can recount detailed stories of almost all 200-plus chemistry majors who have graduated from DeSales during his career. Today, the Department of Chemistry and Physics is home to 5 full-time faculty and a laboratory manager, Patricia Hartman, who is an alumna of the class of 1986. Dr. Fran Mayville, our organic chemist, leads an active natural science club and ACS affiliate, which hosts a variety of events, and he's also kept extremely busy by undergraduate research projects. Dr. Hayek specializes in inorganic and physical chemistry, and Dr. Himmelberger is the biochemist and pre-professional health professions advisor. Together they teach the extremely popular food science chemistry course, which offers our students an optional international trip. The pride and joy of chemistry at DeSales University is the Chem Demos program. Founded by Dr. Berg and Dr. Mayville in 2001, this program is celebrating its 20th anniversary this year. During the past 2 decades, tens of thousands of local elementary, middle, and high school students have traveled to the Hurd Auditorium for a delightful and educational science show put on by a team of passionate science majors. Each year, the show features novel, creative demonstrations in addition to the legendary liquid nitrogen ice cream competition. In light of the COVID-19 pandemic, this year's group is moving the show to a virtual format. I hope that you enjoyed this brief history of chemistry at DeSales, and we hope that you'll visit us sometime for an evening performance of our Chem Demos show.
Chemistry has existed at Lafayette College since the beginning, which is either 1826 or 1832, depending on your point of view. The first chair of chemistry was Samuel D. Gross, a medical doctor, in fact, a surgeon, and he was chair from 1832 to 1834. He was actually a professor of chemistry, mineralogy, and botany, kind of a weird combination. And he wouldn't take the position if he was actually required to teach chemistry. Over the years, the Lafayette Chemistry Department has had many different homes. It started in Jenks Hall from 1865 to 1902. Jenks Hall no longer exists on the campus, but it has been incorporated into the Simon Center. From there, they moved into the new Pardee Hall, which was a home for lots of different laboratories. But you see, it was a very short period of time the chemistry department was there, because in 1879 it burned down for the first time, and the chemistry department was responsible. A student was late for chapel, and they put hot glassware into a drawer that had a bunch of rags soaked in flammable organic materials, and the building burned down. From there, briefly into McKean Hall for a short period of time, mostly just for laboratories. It wasn't until 1902 that chemistry moved fully into Gailey Hall, lasting there until 1957. In 1957, they moved into Olin Hall until 2001. When we moved into our current home, Hugel Science Center, which does incorporate Olin Hall, but has an additional wing with additional labs and teaching space. There are a bunch of other fun facts about the chemistry department over the years. Some people. Trail Green is a professor. He was the second chair of the chemistry department, and he actually left the college over a fight with the board of trustees about how faculty could discipline students, which in the 1800s you could imagine was kind of an interesting discussion. From there, the department was turned over to Thomas Drown as the third chair. Professor Drown was blamed for the Pardee fire, and this obviously caused some clashes. He wound up actually resigning from his position during commencement, came back briefly at the insistence of the faculty, but eventually wound up leaving Lafayette College to become president of that other L school in the Lehigh Valley. Professor Edward Hart was the fourth chair of the department, and actually also served as the second editor of JAX. And chemistry must have been pretty interesting at Lafayette College during Professor Hart's time here, because he is noted for developing a bottle for storing hydrofluoric acid, and also for developing a condenser for the purification of nitric acid. One famous alum, a name that might be familiar to some of the more experienced viewers of this, is J.T. Baker, the Baker Chemical Company, which used to be in Phillipsburg, New Jersey, named after him. We are also the home to the first ACS Student Affiliates chapter. We have this nice little plaque hanging up. We've offered a number of different degrees over the years. At the undergraduate level, the college started with no specialization whatsoever. From 1832 to 1865, AB was the only option. 1865, a BS was added, and that added a few more classes and didn't require classical language. And there was also a BPH, which was awarded to someone who took the BS curriculum plus Latin. After that, we were able to specialize in chemistry starting in 1874 when an AC, analytical chemist degree, was offered. In 1879, that was changed back to a BS or a BPH in chemistry. In 1918, the BPH was discontinued, leaving us at what we have now, an AB and a BS in chemistry. In the 1990s, an AB and BS in biochemistry was added. We have offered some graduate degrees. PhD was offered in 1874 for 3 years of postgraduate study. That was last awarded in 1899, and in total, the department has awarded 8 PhDs in chemistry. Going through this, one particular note of interest was Professor G. Earl Peace. Professor Peace was a member of the class of 1966 at Lafayette. He then went on to get his PhD from Illinois. He came back to Lafayette as the first African-American professor, and actually the first tenured African-American professor at Lafayette, from 1971 to 1979. From what I gather from his paper while at Lafayette, he was an analytical chemist interested in studying mercury in lobsters. Whether or not he chose to eat those lobsters later is unknown to me. From here, he moved on to administration at Holy Cross, where he finally ended his career. The department currently consists of 10 faculty members, 8 tenure track, 2 visiting, and a number of other support staff and instructors. We have about 15 majors per year, and right now we miss our students very much. I have to thank Professor Roger Egolf for a lot of the information for this in a paper that he published in the Bulletin of the History of Chemistry.
Hey there, it's time to learn a little bit about Lehigh University. You've heard from some of the other schools of the Valley. Now let me tell you about the premier school of the Lehigh Valley. Lehigh's chemistry department's 155 years old. We were one of the first departments founded after the school began in 1865. And the building shown on that seal that was used to commemorate the centennial year of the university is our first home. Packard Hall, built in 1865 to 1868, was where the first laboratories of the chemistry department existed. Do Google this and read what's online. There's a lot more detail than I can give you. Our first chair was Charles Meyer Wetherell. He had an honorary MD degree and an earned PhD degree from the University of Gießen. And he was just what our founder wanted, an analytical chemist interested in practical problems. And Asa was awash in practical problems. Asa's Lehigh Valley Railroad, Asa's Bethlehem Iron, later become Bethlehem Steel, had raw material purity problems like you wouldn't believe. The iron ore was of various concentrations of real iron. The limestone had a lot of sand in it and sometimes no sand. The boiler water used to fuel the steam engines sometimes had a lot of dissolved solids which crapped out and corroded it. Asa needed analytical chemists, but there weren't enough of them. So let's create a university and teach analytical chemistry. First degree is the AC degree, and it focuses just on analytical chemistry. Alas, Wetherell doesn't last very long. He dies of a stroke in 1871, just after having submitted his resignation with the intent of moving to a faculty position at Penn. We still call this the Wetherell curse. When you're hired at Lehigh, stay at Lehigh. But anyway, we lose Wetherell, and he's replaced by another analytical chemist, William Henry Chandler. Chandler was interested in zinc, copper, and fertilizer. And his analytical experiments tended to reflect his areas of interest. He and his brother co-founded the American Chemical Society, and he alone called for and initiated the meetings that led to the creation of the Lehigh Valley Section of the ACS. While Chandler was at Lehigh, he created a student chemical society a full 5 years before the ACS was created. So Lafayette may have the oldest student affiliate chapter of the ACS, but we have the oldest student chemistry organization in the valley. You see two pictures there from the laboratory building that Chandler designed, one the lecture hall auditorium, and the other a muffle furnace and crucible furnace used in the laboratories. The award-winning building won the prize at the Paris World Exposition of 1888 for best scientific design in the world. It had individual fume hood exhausts. It was a fireproof construction. It had sealed warehouse space, storeroom space for the ethanol to keep the students away from it. It had a lot of positive design features. Chandler and his brother founded the first American chemical journal. There were other journals before that time that used chemistry as a component, but this particular journal was only chemistry. It existed for 7 years, and then it folds into the Journal of the American Chemical Society. Chandler brought a number of different degrees to us. You can see them through the years there. Chandler's time saw the creation of the BS in Industrial Chemistry, which is renamed the BS in Chemical Engineering, and leaves the department to become a Department of Chemical Engineering in 1952. So what do we look like today? Well, we're in mud, the Sealy Mud Building since 1975, chemistry's new home. 19 faculty teach the various degree programs. We have a number of doctoral students, undergraduate majors, not very high, about 15 per year, and most of those are biochemists. The general chemist enrollment is much higher than you would anticipate because we teach so much service work for the various engineering programs that are based on bio-hyphenated engineering. The organic enrollment is high. Our external funding, mostly from NIH and NSF, that supports our doctoral program, is about $2.5 million per year. And as I said, we love to work in mud. Stop by and see us sometime. We're not hard to find. We're the tallest building on the campus, at least for a while. A College of Health is being built that's a little taller, but we're on Packer Avenue. Come see us. Thank you for listening.
Moravian College was established in 1742 as a boys' school and a girls' school. It turns out that the first courses in chemistry appeared in the girls' school. As you look at this college catalog from 1856, you'll notice that the Moravian Female Cemetery had courses in chemistry as regular studies at both the junior and senior level. The seminary also offered a certificate in science in the 1890s, though this offering in the women's seminary was still second to language and literature. A chemistry and physics laboratory was established in South Hall, which is still located in the downtown of the north side of Bethlehem. In the boys' school, chemistry didn't really appear until the school had itself moved to what is the current location of Comenius Hall in the 1890s. Under President Augustus Schultz, the first baccalaureate degrees were granted at Moravian College in 1896. This was also about the time that a Latin scientific course of study was introduced. In the words of Augustus Schultz, this was to, quote, meet the wishes of those who may desire to pursue a course of liberal study, but prefer taking additional mathematics, science, and modern languages. This Latin scientific course of study included natural sciences, physics, geology, astronomy, and chemistry. The Latin science major remained minorly enrolled, but the first chemistry lab was established on the North Campus in 1909. Dean Albert G. Rao was an advocate for the sciences in the early 1900s and hired several new professors in the sciences, including future Dean Roy D. Hassler. As we move from the 1910s into the 1920s, President Schultz noticed a change in the number of science majors. There seemed to be more science majors than now classics majors. As a result, the Memorial Science Building was established in 1923. This is now Memorial Hall on Moravian's North Campus. By the mid-1930s, the science enrollment had grown to the point where the college needed to restructure the Latin scientific major into specialized programs. Here in this course catalog from 1931, you see the first specialized program in chemistry. This includes a variety of chemistry courses. Oddly enough, it includes a pandemic chemistry course. Based on the time we're living in, this seems a little bit ironic. However, pandemic refers to the global nature of the chemistry course, not the pandemic we're currently living in. The boys' school and the girls' school merged in 1954. After these schools merged, there was even more growth in the sciences. The number of students who were studying chemistry and the other sciences continued to expand. New faculty in these disciplines began to appear, and eventually, it seemed as though the sciences were outgrowing their home in Memorial Hall. As a result, in the late 1960s, the college decided to move forward with the building of a new state-of-the-art science center. This science center was going to have 3 floors, each dedicated to different scientific disciplines. Chemistry has its own space on the 2nd floor. Not only did chemistry have its own space, but also there were several independent chemistry labs for students to work in addition to student-centric spaces like a periodical room for them to keep up with current scientific literature. There were also now 4 faculty members in the sciences, each with their own specialty in a chemical subdiscipline. Chemistry continued to expand at Moravian in the 80s, 90s, and 2000s. In the 90s, the biochemistry major was established at Moravian, and our chemistry major was certified by the American Chemical Society. In addition, in 2015, the Hall of Science underwent its first renovation. Through this, we were able to establish what's known as the Super Lab in the chemistry department at Moravian, which is an integrative lab lecture learning space that also houses some of the most state-of-the-art chemical instrumentation in the Lehigh Valley. The Moravian Chemistry Department currently consists of 5 tenure-track faculty members and 1 laboratory instructor. We also continue to engage our undergraduate research students in independent research projects, both during the semester and in the summertime through our SOAR undergraduate research program. This is all an effort to make sure that our students receive the best education and training for a transformational career in the chemical sciences.
Hello everyone, my name is Christine Ingersoll, Professor and Chair of Muhlenberg College's Chemistry Department. I'll be presenting the rich history of chemistry at Muhlenberg, with sincere thanks to Roger Egolf for gathering and sharing this information, as well as where we are today. Muhlenberg was founded in 1848 as Allentown Seminary and became a full college in 1867. Muhlenberg was located in central Allentown in Trout Hall, which had been the home of James Allen, the son of William Allen. In 1904, the college moved to its current location in West Allentown. Chemistry was originally taught by Theodore C. Yeager, M.D., who subsequently became mayor of Allentown. In 1879, Asa Packer, founder of Lehigh University, endowed Muhlenberg with $30,000 to create the Asa Packer Professorship of the Natural and Applied Sciences. Edgar Foss Smith earned his B.S. degree from Pennsylvania College and both A.M. and Ph.D. degrees from Göttingen University in Germany. After 5 years as a chemistry instructor at the University of Pennsylvania, in 1881 he became the first Asa Packer Professor of Natural and Applied Sciences at Muhlenberg. He later accepted a professorship at the University of Pennsylvania in 1888, where he taught analytical chemistry, did extensive electrochemical research, and was an important historian of chemistry. He also served the University of Pennsylvania as chemistry department head, vice provost, and university provost until retirement in 1926. Muhlenberg College awarded him an honorary LL.D. in 1911. Nathaniel Wiley Thomas earned his S.B. degree from the University of Pennsylvania. He followed his instructor at Penn, Edgar Foss Smith, to Muhlenberg, where in 1883 he became the only student ever to earn a Ph.D. from the institution. He later became the second Asa Packer professor, and 2 years later moved to the University of Pennsylvania. John Baumann graduated as valedictorian from Muhlenberg in 1873. Baumann studied at the Philadelphia Theological Seminary and was ordained a Lutheran minister. In 1885, he was appointed as the third Asa Packer professor at Muhlenberg College until 1897, when his title at Muhlenberg changed to Professor of Mathematics. Baumann also served as a Lutheran minister in several Allentown area congregations and was awarded an honorary D.D. by Muhlenberg in 1920. In the early 1880s, the time period that J.T. Baker was a student at Lafayette and J.W. Richards was a student at Lehigh, Elmer Kohler, born in Egypt, Pennsylvania, was studying at Muhlenberg College. Kohler's career had a far-reaching impact on 20th century organic chemistry. In 1889, Kohler received his Muhlenberg A.M. He earned his Ph.D. from Johns Hopkins University in 1892, then joined the faculty of Bryn Mawr College as its first instructor of organic chemistry. 20 years later, he became a full professor at Harvard University and later became the chair of Harvard Chemistry Department. Kohler was elected to the National Academy of Sciences in 1920 and remained on the Harvard faculty until his sudden death in 1938. Kohler's A.B. degree from Muhlenberg in 1886 was the standard classical variety, taking only one chemistry course, the exact same curriculum as his 15 classmates. Kohler later received an honorary degree from Muhlenberg in 1918. Kohler considered himself to be primarily a teacher, but he also published 87 papers with 56 collaborators during his 26 years at Harvard. His research interests in organic chemistry were diverse, and he may have been the first American chemist to study Grignard reactions. The Kohler reaction is named after him, and he's also considered to be one of the pioneers in the development of physical organic chemistry in the U.S. Chemistry didn't become a separate academic department at Muhlenberg until 1920. Before then, it was part of the Department of Natural and Applied Sciences, which had a special course in analytical chemistry comprising of 10 courses over 2 years. The classes that were required to complete that curriculum are shown here. Jumping ahead 100 years. Today, the Muhlenberg College Chemistry Department benefits from this history and from more recent departmental leadership from Muhlenberg icons like Charles Mortimer, Russ Smart, Dick Hatch, Dave Staley, Don Shive, and Bruce Anderson, who's currently Muhlenberg's interim provost. Today, the department includes 12 full-time and 2 part-time faculty and 2 full-time staff members. Our ACS-approved program offers a major and minor in chemistry. We also offer a major in biochemistry and a major and minor in environmental science. We typically graduate 10 to 15 chemistry and biochemistry majors per year, and their outcomes are truly amazing, with more than half of our students going directly into PhD programs, about 30% going on to medical or dental school, and the rest becoming teachers, scientists, lawyers, dancers, just to name a few. Our facilities are very different than they were 100 years ago, too, now spanning over 80,000 square feet across 3 buildings, designed to foster collaboration and interdisciplinarity, providing diverse research opportunities for our students across the subdisciplines and access to state-of-the-art instrumentation. I'm extremely grateful to benefit from Muhlenberg's rich history and to share some of the chemistry departments present here with you today. Thank you.
Hi, my name's Ike Shibley. I'm the Science Program Chair at Penn State Berks, and I wanted to briefly let you know about what we've got here. My history is going to be a lot shorter than like Lehigh's, and I don't have cool pictures of Chandler or other buildings. I will give you a sense for how chemistry has been important for Berks. We have 3 science degrees that relate to mostly biology. We have life science, we have biology, and now we have biochemistry. You can see that about every 8 years, we've added another degree. When I got here in '96, we were just on the verge of launching the science degree, which was borrowed from University Park. I was the first program coordinator, so I've been doing this for more than 2 decades. And we had a meeting early on. We got together alum from Penn State and asked them questions about what kind of degrees we should offer in order to help them launch into scientific careers. And almost everyone on the advisory council said, the degree doesn't matter per se. What matters is the skills that they get. We assume that if a student has basic science, chemistry, physics, organic chemistry, that they'll be able to do what they need. So they wanted us to focus more on communication skills and writing skills and leadership skills, teamwork skills. So we do have a degree that looks at biochemistry, and it goes, Chem 210 is our organic chemistry. BMB is our essentially our biology course, but it's more focused on cellular biology. And one of the things that strikes me is that the only difference between the chemistry degree at University Park at the main campus and the biochemistry degree is about 6 400 level courses. So our students end up getting more 400 level biochemistries, but they can still get a chemistry minor. We discourage it for the biochemistry because they're so close. But for like biology and for life science, all students have to do is take their normal coursework and then take additional credits at the 400 level. We do offer PChem 1 and 2. Lorena Tribe teaches that in their popular course. She's made it understandable for a large number of students. And then we offer some 400 level courses also. You can see that biochemistry enrollment is our most robust of the science degrees. Now I know it's still small numbers. We only have about 2,500 students at Berks. So this is, the chemistry aspect is critically important for our success. And even though we don't have a chemistry degree, a lot of our graduates have actually gone on to pursue degrees that involved a lot of chemistry. Now, again, most of it is biochem, but we also have a few alum from Penn State Berks who are now PhD chemists. So the history of chemistry at Berks is that It's been essential for the growth of our college, and I hope that gave you some insight. Thanks. Bye.
I teach at Penn State Lehigh Valley, located in Center Valley near the Promenade Shops. Our chemistry students do not finish their degrees at our campus. Instead, they change location to another campus, usually University Park, but sometimes other campuses such as Berks after their first 2 years. Our campus does have 10 four-year majors, but none of them yet are in science or engineering, so all of my students finish elsewhere. You might notice that I didn't say they transfer. That's because they don't. Penn State is the only major university in the United States that has multiple campuses that function under a single accreditation. It has only one course catalog, and all courses taken at any location are considered the same as at any other location. All students, no matter where they start, can finish anywhere in the university. I'm going to spend the rest of my 4 minutes highlighting a few important chemists from the history of Penn State. However, I don't have enough time to say much about any of them. The first chemist and Penn State's first president was Evan Pugh. Pugh was a Pennsylvania farm boy who at the time of his job offer in 1856 was still a graduate student in Germany in the laboratory of Friedrich Wöhler. A trustee of the New Farmers High School, which was Penn State's original name, had asked Yale chemist Samuel Johnson for a referral of a possible president, and Johnson, who was a recent graduate under Wöhler, suggested Pugh. Pugh accepted, but insisted that he be given time to finish his degree, then do additional research before coming home. After graduation, he spent 6 months working in Heidelberg under Bunsen, and then spent a year in England in the laboratory of Laws and Gilbert doing seminal work on the origin of nitrogen in plants. His work found the evidence needed to support the theory that plants themselves could not fix nitrogen. He finally arrived in State College in 1859 and set to work building the college. Unfortunately, he died of typhoid fever on April 29, 1864, just 3 months after getting married. His wife never remarried, living as a widow in Bellefonte for 57 years. I now jump to 1888 with the hiring of George Gilbert Pond as the professor of chemistry in 1888. Pond had graduated from Amherst and then studied in Göttingen, but left Göttingen without a degree. Amherst later granted him an honorary doctorate. Pond is best known today among historians of chemistry as the person who saved Priestley House from destruction. He convinced Penn State to buy the house, and he raised money to move it from Northumberland to State College, but he died in 1920 before that move could be done. Instead, his former students decided to use the money to build a small museum building next to the house in Northumberland. In 1929, Penn State hired Frank C. Whitmore as its Dean of Chemistry and Physics away from Northwestern University. He turned Penn State's small graduate program into one of the strongest in the nation. Today, Whitmore is primarily known for the Whitmore rearrangement mechanism, which is the rearrangement of alkyl or hydrides to give the more stable carbocation. Hopefully, the students in this audience recognize this mechanism from sophomore organic chemistry. Whitmore also made several extremely important hires. He brought J.G. Aston and Joseph Simmons along with him from Northwestern. Aston's cryogenics lab at Penn State was the first to reach 1/10,000th of a Kelvin, and Simmons was the fluorine chemist responsible for the technology used to make uranium hexafluoride for the Manhattan Project. Whitmore also brought Merrill Fensky from MIT to head Penn State's chemical engineering program and hired Russell Marker from the Rockefeller Institute. Marker was the first chemist to find a way to economically synthesize progesterone from Mexican yams and is considered to be one of the fathers of the birth control pill, which could not have been economically prepared without the reaction he created, the Marker degradation. This slide shows Penn State's first woman chemistry graduate, Margaret MacDonald. After graduating from Penn State in 1895, MacDonald earned a PhD at Bryn Mawr College with E.P. Kohler. This was before he moved to Harvard. After getting her PhD in 1902, MacDonald came back to Penn State as its first woman to teach chemistry and worked there doing nutrition research for 11 years before moving to Johns Hopkins. There are so many great Penn State chemists from the past, but I only had 4 minutes, which I've probably exceeded. I was hoping to talk a bit about Pauline Beery Mack, who was a pioneering nutrition chemist, and also Mary Willard, one of the first forensic chemists in the nation. However, I'm going to move now to the present. Today, the department is headed by Phil Bevilacqua and consistently ranks in the top 10 to 20 chemistry departments in the country. Penn State's external research budget university-wide passed $1 billion last year, and it all started with chemistry.
Okay, welcome back. I hope you've enjoyed those presentations by your colleagues as much as they enjoyed preparing them for you. And I also hope you've learned a lot about those 9 institutions of the Lehigh Valley. Maybe you're now better prepared to answer the quiz, and do send it in electronically to Nigel. If you're watching us on the 19th of November in the afternoon, you could use the comment function and communicate with Nigel and the section officers directly live in real time. If you're watching at any other time, you're going to be asynchronous. I've been your host for this evening. It's been a pleasure to be here, but I couldn't have done this without the participation of representatives of the colleges. I want to give special thanks to Pam Arts, Jeannie Burke, Mike Bertucci, Kelly Kaplan, Roger Egolf, Sarah Heilich, Julie Himmelberger, Christine Ingersoll, Ike Shibley, and Chip Nataro. And again, the major contribution by Steve Litchak of the Lehigh Media Center for stitching this together, and Nigel Sanders of the local section for helping with the links. Hope you've enjoyed this. One little bit of trivial before we depart. Do you know who is 92 years old today? An important person in your life. Tick, 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 tick. Mickey Mouse. It's Mickey Mouse's birthday. Hope you've enjoyed the evening. And now it's time for interaction with Nigel and the officers, as have been instructed to you before. See you next meeting. Cheerio.